Hello learners, welcome to Smart Class. In today's video, we are going to discuss a poem, a concrete example that is in class 8 NCERT English book Poorvi. So in today's class, we'll be discussing the poem, the summary and the line by line analysis of the poem. And before I begin, I must tell you that regarding the question answers from this chapter, from this poem, I'll share a link in the description box that you can click and you can easily get the question answers, and I will also share in this class how you can access this. So now let us start. And if you have not subscribed still now our Smart Class channel, so you should be a subscriber and you should share this class with your friends. So let us start. A concrete example. This is a poem. And here you find that there is a character named Mrs. Jones. And as the poem says that Mrs. Jones is the next door neighbor of the speaker. So the summary goes like this. That the poem describes, इस poem में describe किया जाता है एक unusual garden को. The unusual garden of the speaker's neighbor जिनका नाम है Mrs. Jones. और इनका जो गार्डन है, अब एक गार्डन में हमें क्या मिल जाता है? Garden is made of different flowers, different plants. Okay, but here you find that instead of having a garden that is full of flowers and greenery, this garden, the garden of Mrs. Jones, it is mostly filled with stones. तो ये जो गार्डन हम इधर दिख रहे हैं ये पोएम में, इस पोएम में ये गार्डन स्टोन से भरा हुआ है, फ्लावर से नहीं. So one unusual thing we find here in the very beginning of the poem. Then it includes a strange path. एक strange path है, a lily pond. एक pond भी है जिनमें एक कुछ flowers भी है, like lily flowers, lily pond. A rockery means a heap of rocks. Rocks से भरा हुआ एक जगह है. And a sundial. पुराने दिन में क्या होता था, लोग sundial से time measure करते थे. So there is a sundial in this garden of Mrs. Jones, which she finds very attractive. किसको अच्छा लगता है ये? Mrs. Jones को बहुत अच्छा लगता है ये. She finds very attractive. She finds it very beautiful. Then another. So the first habit of Mrs. Jones is that she has the unusual habit. Okay, she has the unusual habit because we find that instead of having a garden that should be full of flowers and greenery, here Mrs. Jones' garden is mostly filled with stones. So एक चीज हमें इधर पहले ही मिल जाता है. Next, Mrs. Jones grows very teeny plants between the stones. छोटा छोटा पौधा जो है वो stones के बीच में लगाती है. These plants are so small and delicate that जो स्पीकर गया है ना वो देखने गार्डन देखने, तो स्पीकर को भी कैसा लग रहा है जैसे कि ये मीनिंगलेस है. ये कैसा गार्डन है जो स्टोन से भरा हुआ है, पत्थर से भरा हुआ है. सो द स्पीकर फाइंड्स इज वेरी मीनिंगलेस और ये मजाक करके बताता है दैट शी मस्ट प्लांट देम विद अ पिन. एक छोटा सा पिन देके, मतलब पिन का इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए वो प्लांट को लगाने के लिए, प्लांट को गार्डन में इम्प्लांट करने के लिए. This is very interesting and also unusual. Now, next we find that one day then Mrs. Jones invites the speaker to admire her garden. एक दिन Mrs. Jones बुला लेती है स्पीकर को गार्डन दिखाने के लिए, गार्डन घुमाने के लिए. Then she talks very proudly about a flower for a long time. एक फ्लावर को लेके बहुत देर तक ये बात करते रहती है. तो उनका हैबिट जो है ये धीरे धीरे हमें पता चल जाता है इस पोएम में, that she is a kind of crazy person, you can say. However, the speaker cannot see it all. एक फ्लावर के लेके तो बात होती है इधर, but the speaker cannot find the flower. Then when he asks कि कहाँ है वो flower, then she tells him that he is actually standing on the flower. So this is the funny thing. This is humorous. So this poem is humorous poem, and in this poem we also learn many things that we'll be discussing in the next part of the video, where we'll be discussing the line by line analysis of the poem. So here is the poem. My next door neighbor Mrs. Jones has got a garden full of stones. Jones, stones, pond, beyond, device, nice. So here we find the rhyme scheme of the poem. A, B, B, C, C. Okay, so A, B, C, C. This is the pattern. This is the rhyme scheme of the poem. And the poem goes like this. My next door neighbor, Mrs. Jones, has got a garden full of stones. पत्थर से भरा हुआ एक garden है. A crazy path. अब देखो, जिस garden में path जो है वो crazy है, so that means you understand that the person is also crazy. Person के दिमाग में भी कुछ crazy ideas चलते रहता है. So crazy ideas. This Mrs. Jones is a person who has crazy ideas. How can you justify? Because the garden is full of stones, first thing. The second thing is that there's a crazy path. Crazy means it's a zigzag path actually. Okay. And a lily pond is there. As you can see here in the picture, there's a lily pond here. Okay. And then a rockery. Rock से भरा हुआ एक जगह है. A heap of rocks. And just beyond, थोड़ा सा आगे जाओगे, so then we can find a sundial with a strange device. So here you find the sundial. Here is the sundial. This one. This one is the sundial that you find in the very poem, which Mrs. Jones thinks rather nice. तो बाकी लोगों को जब ये लगता है unusual, Mrs. Jones thinks that this is a nice thing. How? Because Mrs. Jones is a crazy person. She has some unusual habit. And she has a different definition of beauty. उनके लिए beauty का definition अलग हो सकता है, अलग है. So this poem teaches us that beauty का जो definition है सबके लिए same नहीं होता. Understand कि beauty मेरे लिए जो definition है वो अलग हो सकता है. मेरे लिए एक छोटा सा plant beautiful लग सकता है, दूसरे के लिए छोटा सा plant beautiful नहीं भी लग सकता है. So here we find Mrs. Jones का जो beauty का idea है वो हमें पता चलता है इस poem में. My next door neighbor Mrs. Jones puts little plants between the stones. How funny, how humorous. Next door neighbor जो है Mrs. Jones puts little plants between the stones. Stones के बीचों बीच वो plants को लगाती है. They are so delicate and small. छोटा छोटा पौधा है. They are so delicate and so small. इतना प्यार से उसको टच करना पड़ता है. They do not mean anything at all. सचमुच कैसा है? जो हमारे जिंदगी का छोटा छोटा मोटा जो हिस्सा है, छोटा छोटा जो चीज है, स्मॉल थिंग्स, दे आर ब्यूटीफुल थिंग्स. द स्मॉल मोमेंट्स वो हमारे जिंदगी का बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हिस्सा बन जाता है. और साथ साथ वो हमारे एक छोटा सा पल जो है, एक छोटा सा मोमेंट, अ स्मॉल मोमेंट कैन ब्रिंग अ वेरी ग्रेट चेंज ऑल्सो इन आवर लाइफ. So actually this line is ironical. ये लाइन में हमें आयरनी मिलता है. हाउ? बिकॉज यहां पर बोला जाता है कि दे आर सो डेलिकेट. इतना डेलिकेट है, इतना फ्रजाइल है कि हाथ लगाएंगे तो वो टूट जा सकता है. एंड सो स्मॉल, दे डू नॉट मीन एनीथिंग एट ऑल. बाकी लोगों के लिए लग सकता है इसका कोई वैल्यू ही नहीं है, बट एक्चुअली जो हमारे जिंदगी का छोटा मोटा हिस्सा है, छोटा मोटा पल है, मतलब द स्मॉल मोमेंट्स ऑफ आवर लाइफ, दे आर एक्चुअली मीनिंगफुल. बट वो देखने का तरीका जो है, पर्सपेक्टिव जो है, दैट डिपेंड्स. I cannot think how she gets them in unless she plants them with a pin. मुझे तो लगता है the speaker tells that I do not get this idea that how she gets them in. उसको कैसे प्लान करती है वो? Unless she plants them with a pin. एक छोटा सा पिन लेके शायद वो इस्तेमाल करके, पिन का इस्तेमाल करके वो प्लांटेशन करती होगी. सो दिस इज द आइडिया ऑफ द नरेटर, ऑफ द स्पीकर. तो स्पीकर का जो पर्सपेक्टिव है दैट इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम मिसेस जोन्स. ओके, सो हियर यू फाइंड टू पर्सपेक्टिव्स. दो पर्सपेक्टिव, दो देखने का जो तरीका है वो हमें इस पोएम में मिल जाता है. सो एक के लिए एक चीज, द सेम थिंग. समझ लो कि ये पेन है, ये पेन किसी के लिए ब्यूटीफुल लग सकता है, किसी के लिए नहीं भी लग सकता है. सो इट डिपेंड्स ऑन द पर्सपेक्टिव. Now the last stanza. My next door neighbor, Mrs. Jones, one asked me round to see her stones. To see her stones. तो देखो, नैरेटर के लिए ये बस स्टोन्स है, गार्डन बड़े नहीं है. बट मिसेस जोन्स के लिए उनका प्यारा सा गार्डन है, ब्यूटीफुल गार्डन. ओके, here you find that Mrs. Jones ideas, Mrs. Jones' perspective is completely different from the narrator. Once asked me round to see her stones. एक दिन मुझे इनवाइट किया और बोले कि चलो गार्डन दिखाएंगे, गार्डन घुमाएंगे. So we student talked about a flower for quite a quarter of an hour. एक घंटा से थोड़ा सा कम. तो लगभग समझ लो कि एक घंटा तक कोई अगर बात करते रहे एक छोटा सा फ्लावर लेके. So what do we find in Mrs. Jones? Mrs. Jones is very knowledgeable actually. That means she has much knowledge about plantations, about beauty, about flowers. Okay. And second thing is she has kind of aesthetic sense of beauty. जो एक घंटा से ज्यादा और 1 घंटा से थोड़ा कम एक फ्लावर को लेके बात कर सकती है, उनके लिए एक ब्यूटी का एस्थेटिक जो आइडिया है वो सबसे अलग है. That means she has a different sense of beauty. So here I write a different sense of beauty. Okay, understood? Then, where is this lovely thing? I cried. The narrator is now asking, where is this lovely thing? अब जो फ्लावर को बात करी कहां पर है वो? एक घंटे से थोड़ा कम टाइम ये बात करती जा रही है फ्लावर के लेके. So where is this lovely thing? I cried. Then she replied, you are standing on it. आप तो उसी के ऊपर खड़े हैं. That means the poem ends with a humorous note. Actually, the poem is a humorous poem. Okay, तो इस poem में humor है. Humor के through one thing is clear to us that people have different kind of perspective of beauty. तो लोगों के लिए ब्यूटी का जो डेफिनेशन है वो अलग अलग है. Okay, so here I write the themes of the poem. So first theme that we find in the poem is that Mrs. Jones finds her garden beautiful and artistic. Okay, so that means the first theme that we'll write here is the theme of perspective. The theme of perspective. Okay, theme of perspective, and you also take the notes in your book or in your notebook while you are watching the class. Theme of perspective. That means Mrs. Jones has a different perspective about the garden, and the speaker, the narrator has a different sense of beauty about the garden. Okay, this is one theme that we find in the poem. Then another thing we find in the poem is artificial versus natural beauty. Look, the garden is full of stones, right, and very teeny plants. तो बाहर से लगता है कि ये आर्टिफिशियल है. Okay, but the poet also indirectly suggests that natural beauty, जैसे कि जो visible plants है वो better है over decorated और artificial arrangement से. तो जैसे कि stones लगाया गया, एक sundial इस्तेमाल किया गया, and there's a lily pond, rockery, तो ये तो artificially बनाया गया. पर नेचुरली जो गार्डन बनता है वो तो दूसरा दिखता है, दूसरा टाइप का दिखता है ना. तो दैट मीन्स आर्टिफिशियल ब्यूटी versus natural beauty. So for the poet, what matters the most, for the speaker, what matters the most is the natural beauty. इसलिए शायद इनको लग रहा है कि this actually is meaningless to the speaker. So another point we write here, number 2 is artificial versus natural beauty. Okay, artificial versus natural beauty. Understand? Okay, very good. So this is the poem. This is a very short poem, but actually it's a deep poem because we find the character of Mrs. Jones here, and Mrs. Jones is a very crazy person. Let me summarize the whole poem. तो Mrs. Jones का एक garden है, and speaker जाते हैं देखने, and there he finds that the garden is very crazy garden, like Mrs. Jones. Why? Because the path is crazy, because there's a lily pond there, there's a rockery, there's a sundial. All these are the components of the garden. And Mrs. Jones, among all these things, she is a crazy person because of her ideas, because of her habits, the unusual habits. Why? Because उनका जो arrangement है garden का ये unusual लगा. And another thing is that the plants, the flowers are so small that one cannot see from outside. Okay, so the whole arrangement of the garden makes it clear that Mrs. Jones is a kind of different person who has a different sense of beauty. Understood? Now you'll find there are many questions here. Okay, so I'll be sharing the answers of these questions in the description box. So you click on the description box and you can easily get the answers. So let me show you. So I have clicked the link, and you can also click the link in the description box. Then you can find the question answers here. Along with the question answers, you can also search for the themes and relations that you find here, and the detailed analysis also. Okay, so this class is going to be very helpful for you, and if you have any doubt, any query, you can write in the comment box, and you must share this video with your friends and the fellow learners, and please subscribe our channel Smart Class. Okay, so that's all for today. We'll be meeting in the next class. Thank you so much.